So, first of all, what is your personal understanding of who Martin Luther King Jr. was?
Martin Luther King was a civil rights activist that believed all people should be treated equally in their lives, regardless of their race, color, and religion.
He was really big on equality, but also community at the same time. He wanted to bring people closer together.
An American leader and activist who really catalyzed and spearheaded the civil rights movement.
I'd say probably one of the most influential and important figures in American history. His beliefs and his message had an impact worldwide as well.
He did so much for the civil rights movement, and without Martin Luther King Jr., we wouldn't be as progressive as we are now, and there wouldn't be so much movement towards liberality and trying to achieve more equality today and justice for those who still are marginalized.
He ensured more freedoms for more Americans across the country and definitely helped to make America a better place.
He was obviously a very intelligent and courageous individual.
And he basically fought to inspire people to accept children and to love them regardless of race or religion or background.
One thing that's impacted me as far as learning more about Martin Luther King and admiring Martin Luther King is really, I think he had a lot of moral quandaries within his own self, his own being, and the fortitude to challenge those moral quandaries, both in his personal life and his life as a civil rights activist and a leader. I've admired in reading about him more and more about that courage to face some of those moral challenges and to take them on head on.
He was incredibly brave, and he changed the face of American society as it is today because he found a way to make a change.
He was an African-American male who wanted to see the change in the world, and he just led a movement with pride and honesty, and he was just excited to see what the future could hold for everyone.
I see Martin Luther King Jr. as a Christian reverend, and through that scope, I think he tried to do everything that he could to help the people that he thought needed it.
To me, he was more than just like a pacifist who was fighting for the racial inequality in America. He was also like a beloved father and a son.
A figure that stood up for anyone that really couldn't use their voice, so he stood up for a lot of people that didn't have their own voice.
Martin Luther King Jr. was not only a revolutionary person to all people in the African American community, but I think he was a hero to everyone around the world. He was a crusader of change and like a trailblazer in society, and an activist who put the life of posterity ahead of the life of his own.
He wanted everyone to be able to have equal rights.
He wanted to bring everybody together.
He's really powerful.
Radical. Love.
An American citizen who lived out what he believed in terms of supporting in every way possible, providing as much opportunity for all American citizens. So my understanding and my appreciation really honestly has grown as I've gotten older and had an opportunity to have been in education a number of years, to work with so many students and families, and to be a father and grandfather. That's all changed my appreciation and respect in a much deeper way.
The piece that has always stuck with me is the bold and kind of audacious optimism that comes with a lot of his messaging. Somebody who could have given up hope more than a few times, but his message to all of the people working with him at the time was, come on, let's keep doing the work, keep doing the work. And that to me is the resonant piece.
The sentiments that are brought up in the I Have a Dream speech are obviously going to be the famous ones and probably the most impactful holistically. For me, I really appreciate his final speech. The beginning of it, he really talks about if he could go anywhere in the world at any time in history, he would want to live in the 20th century where he's living right then. That in the 60s, as hard as it is, as challenging as it is, it's also a time filled with hope because people are fighting for those challenges and against those challenges, with those challenges. And he talks about being in the present, being in the now, and appreciating that moment, and appreciating his ability to impact that moment in ways large and small, and appreciating watching others impact that moment.
He knew that
every time he spoke that something could happen and maybe people wouldn't support him or like wouldn't agree with him, but he spoke like what he believed and he always supported the Black community.
I think the most impactful part is just his bravery throughout all of his life to stand up for what he believed in, regardless of the outcome. He just really had this hope in his life that the world would just be a happier place and that humans would be able to get along with each other.
I think it's the nonviolence aspect of his message, because what was coming back at him was violence. And if you respond with violence to violence, it just makes it worse. And so his use of the peaceful protest, which has become like a fixture in disobedience in our society now, I think that's what made the change.
The thing that really sticks out to me about Martin Luther was his concern not only for the well-being of the Black people, but also for people of disabilities and different religions that are being persecuted in the American culture.
Pretty similarly to like our founding fathers, he would just simply preach equality, opportunity, and justice for everyone.
At the time, of course, he was activating for specifically African-American civilians and everything, but I believe that overall he just wanted to create this loving community where everyone was equal.
I think besides just working for the civil rights of people of color, he really showed Americans that diversity is something to be embraced and that it will help us be unified as a country.
I think probably just how simple and like universally accepted it is, that his message of unity is just that.
At that point in time, for someone to have the courage to say there is a different way, there's a better way to reach across the aisle, so to speak, and to encourage and support and provide an opportunity for political, social, economic justice, to do what's right for all Americans. It wasn't a popular idea, obviously. We still struggle with that as a culture. So I think that's a lasting legacy as time has gone on.
When he was talking about little Black boys and little Black girls coming and holding hands with little white girls and little white boys, was like how he wanted both sides to just like not look at the differences, but look at what they have in common and just come together, because then that creates a stronger community. So without equality, there's really no community.
His ultimate goal was to treat people as what they are motivated to become, not who they are now. So ignore all of whatever you see on the skin tone or their background or their status, and just to love them and to set off a light bulb to the rest of the people that in the end, race doesn't matter and it's just who you are, and ultimately everyone's the same person.
Caring for other people.
To stop bullying and other discrimination against one another, and do volunteering work where we help others who need it.
I think the most important aspect of his message was basically just love and loving each other and appreciating each other and the individuals that we are, because you know, we're all different and we have our different perceptions, but that only makes us even more beautiful and even more individualistic. But we all make this world a better place just by being us.
Just be yourself, stand up for what you believe in. Don't be afraid to make changes.
To me, his most important message is that change is always upon us, and it's just a matter of how we react to it and whether we're willing to accept it, because we have the power to produce change with people coming together, and it's just a matter of whether or not we'll accept it and whether or not we'll grow from it.
Is it okay if I pull up a quote?
Sure.
Okay. So Martin Luther King Jr. said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what can you do for others? I just do as much as I can to help the people that I care about, and that's kind of what I'm doing for other people.
I hold a very special place in my heart for the special needs students here, and so I really have made it a goal in my life to make them feel that they are equal and they are loved and they are seen. They're people and they're just like us, and they deserve a voice just like MLK would want for them.
His message was that people, no matter their background, where they came from, whether they were impoverished or not, everyone was equal, and no matter how you got to the circumstances you were, everyone should have the same opportunities as another person. For me, I go down to the homeless shelter I feed the people in need there because I don't know how they ended up there. To serve them and their circumstances is a really powerful thing.
I usually go out once every month. I get blankets, I get little goodie bags, and I just pass them out to the homeless, seeing who needs them and stuff like that.
I do a lot of community service, and I get to operate a hunger relief program here at school.
Volunteer work I'm working with is helping out children, different race, unite and understand the meaning of life, working together.
Trying to help other people that haven't really had the same opportunities that I've had or that those around me have had. And a lot of that is through the Honor Society here.
In my life, I'm not afraid to express my opinions, and I think that's part of his dream, that we can stand up for what we believe in.
I'm working to make our school, community, and country a better place by being an activist. I'm the leader of Spokane's group of Students Demand Action that works to end gun violence and make schools safer, and I'm also helping to organize the Women's March and further gender equity in our country.
Being a part of the student body, I feel like it's a great part of it and to inspire others to do the same. And I don't worry about my race or my background, I just worry about who I am now and just to let others know how much they're appreciated.
Volunteering with Key Club, volunteering with National Honor Society, we do so many events that help people who maybe don't have as much, such as Second Harvest, where we sort food for people who need it. I also enjoy participating in more political things, such as the Women's March and March for Our Lives.
What really feels good for me to do is to not only stick up for the people that I know, but also for the people that I don't know.
Being able to support people if they need to be supported, or standing up for people when they're being bullied or being disrespected because of who they are as a person.
I can help other people who don't have as many born rights that I do, because although we have strived as a society and gotten better since the civil rights movement, we still aren't where we need to be.
I was born and kind of grew up in Africa for a while and then came here. It was really hard because English was not our first language, anyone in our family, so people actually coming and helping us was really big, and then it made me want to do something back, so I started doing volunteering and stuff now that I'm in high school and could speak English better.
I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where faith was important, there was a legacy, an opportunity for education was important, and it's been there. And so from an early age, there was this seed planted that, you don't judge a book by its cover, you don't judge somebody by the color of their skin or their political or religious views. You listen, you encourage, you support, you just try to love unconditionally. That's the right thing to do. For those of us who work in education, there's a daily opportunity to encourage and support and listen, to practice, if you will, just loving somebody right where they are.
I treat all my students equal. It doesn't matter if they have a behavior or different color or a disability in any way. I just see them as a human being, and we just go from there, and I give them the best education they can get.
Most students in my classes know that I try to explore the content beyond just writing an essay or taking a test, that it's about developing empathy for others and learning how to engage difference. And looking at his overall message, it's not about big group hug, it's about, hey, there's differences and we can be okay with those differences. We can live again within those challenges.
I think a lot of the work we do in education is about identifying and working with ways we can make sure that every kiddo who comes through our doors and comes into our care, that we look at what happens in their life and say, okay, here's a chance for us to increase that kiddo's opportunity to move forward and do something amazing. All of the people who work here in our school, that's how we service that part of that dream.
Have you heard the story about the little boy and the starfish on the beach?
I don't think so.
So one day the tide rolls in faster than the starfish are ready. So there's thousands of them left on the beach. And this kid starts throwing them back in the ocean, right? So that they live. And this older guy walks along and he goes, "What are you doing? You're not gonna make a difference for these thousands of starfish." but the kid just picks up another one and throws him back, and he goes, but I made a difference for that one, and then he does it again, and that one. There's no way that I could even reach the entire student body of LC, but I can make a difference in individual lives.
My why is the golden rule of treating others the way you want to be treated, because I think that if everyone in the world treated others the way that they really wanted to be treated and looked past these barriers that come in between people, that I think that Martin Luther King's dream would be fulfilled.
Probably just being able to show that as a Black woman in this society that I can do anything. It doesn't really matter about color, it just matters as how hard you put your mind to it. And I've had like family members and friends and all these counselors and stuff help me work my way up.
It seems that I've always been around people that are, they want to impact the world in ways large and small. And so I think that that's just made an impact on me, just growing up in those types of environments.
There's been a lot of really cool role models in my life that have helped me just grow and take steps in life. They've just had such a big impact on me that I want to be able to help other people.
The reason you learn is so that you can serve others, so that you can identify ways to lift others up, ways to look around and say, I have this enormous privilege in my life, I have these gifts, how can I make sure that others are experiencing some of that same goodness in their world?
I feel like coming to America, when we first got here, people helped out a lot. So going out there and helping out in the community is a way of me like showing my appreciation for how much people helped us when we first got here.
My family, they just came from Vietnam, like literally not knowing a word of English, and they just made a life for me. So I just want to be able to go to college, get a stable career, and give back to them, while being able to give back to the community itself.
I had to have a lot of therapy, like learning how to walk or learning how to write or learning how to, you know, carry food. I have passion for others, so I need to keep going so they know they are okay and they can keep going. That's me.
At the Special Olympics bowling tournament, that these are some of the most caring, wonderful people I'd ever met. They were great to be around and help, and realize that society treats them really differently because they weren't born the same way as most of those around them. And it's stuff like that that sort of inspires me to pursue that.
So one thing that MLK said was injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so just making those small choices, even if it's just saying hi in the halls, or even if it's just, you know, sitting with them at lunch, just letting them know that they are loved and they are seen by anyone, I think can make a difference in their lives.
Seeing my students achieve an education and making a safe place for them to feel comfortable and come to school every day.
I lived in Japan, I lived in the South, and I lived in Spokane. And I think seeing these different places, I've seen so many moments of hate and just distrust, and just, I really want to be a light in someone's life so that they know that I'm there.
I imagine this dark cloud that's kind of looming over the world right now of just pure hate and negativity, and right now I think that it's winning. And I really believe that if we were all just positive and we were loving, and that would create this light that would defeat the clouds.
There is still racism, but that shouldn't stop you from trying to live out your dreams. I'm smart, I'm worthy, like I can do what I want to do.
Personally, I want to do what I believe in and what I think is right. I want to stand up for that.
My why is definitely knowing that we can be better and knowing there's something to work towards for this. We're not just saying that we want this, we're also doing actions that portray what we want and living out our actions in order to achieve what we want.
You know, for those of us who've had opportunities, you know, we've been blessed to be a blessing. You know, if we've had opportunities for education, if we've had opportunities for employment, if we've had opportunities of any kind, there's an expectation, it's a responsibility just as a human being for us to look for ways to help and lift up the people that we come in contact with on a daily basis, to not look away. You know, there's opportunities every day to just accept and encourage and support, and to love somebody right where they are. Sometimes all you're doing is just planting a seed, but it makes a difference.
Well, I think looking back at history and seeing leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and other great people like that, they really show us that we personally have a responsibility to step up and be the change we wish to see in the world. It's not necessarily going to be someone else, that we have the responsibility to make the world a better place.